Well, welcome again. This is Cold Warrior 78. I just want to let you back in the woods again, like I always say. This is again the area outside the Superstition Wilderness area in Arizona that I go when I'm here in the wintertime. Absolutely excellent, absolutely gorgeous area for people that have never been in the high desert, which is what this is. You really cannot really describe. It's green all around us. I'm underneath the pinyon pine tree at the moment. There's ironwood and looks like a desert rhododendron variety just all over the place around here. There's a stream running. You probably can't hear it, but there's a stream running about a half mile behind me. I can barely hear it right now. I wanted to take the opportunity to show you a very simple minimalist way to go camping that you don't need a lot of preparation for. I came out to this trip to Arizona expecting that I was not going to be able to go camping because of some other business constraints that I had, and so I didn't bring any of my regular camping stuff with me. Let me show you how we were able to solve that problem. Alright, so what you were looking at now obviously is the back of a pickup truck. From your right, that's my my survival pack, then the sleeping bag that I used, and on the left you see is a pad. Now that pad is not a camping pad. That was a one of those pads you get for a mattress when it's starting to go bad. I'll open it up for you here. It's got those little pyramid things on it. They get for you can get them in hospital supply stores, drug stores, for folks that can't get out of bed a lot. That had been used for years and years. The cool thing is, as you can see, it's half the width of the truck. I didn't modify this. If you just open it all the way up, it lays out flat all the way across the truck, and it's very comfortable. You see, it fits all the way in the back there. I've got a Rubbermaid container with some water in it, but that pad fits all the way across the back. Plenty big enough for two big guys to go hunting. My son and I have spent night in the back of the truck when we were camping. So from a not ready to go camping standpoint, this was rolled up in the back of my shop I don't know, 6 years ago. It's like, we'll get to it, we'll use it for something, padding product, I don't know what all. We expected to you know, snip it up and use it for various little things that needed to be padded. And I looked around the other day and said, oh hey, look what I have. So temperatures got down last night, not quite to freezing, but it was very chilly. That's another thing to consider about Arizona, is it's going to get cold when the sun goes down, and particularly if you're in the mountains, it's going to get cold. Now this is a sleeping bag, Swiss Gear brand. It's a mummy bag. I bought it in the mid-90s. It's an absolutely excellent bag. It is not a deep winter kind of sleeping bag by itself. I don't think it cost more than 30 bucks when I bought it, probably less. And but it's an absolutely excellent 3-season bag, or 2.5 depending on where you are, I suppose. In the real serious winter, I'll wrap that around inside a regular square bag, regular rectangular mummy bag. Not mummy bag, just regular. And it's another cheapo, the other bag I got at Kmart, I'm not sure where I got this one. But the reason why I'm showing this is I had a friend of mine mention that he saw a Swiss Gear brand sleeping bag at a yard sale or an estate sale or something, didn't recognize the brand, and he passed it up. Now, I mean, anything that's old certainly can be abused, but for my money, if I see another one of these things, I'll snatch it up for a couple of bucks. It's excellent, particularly in my case, where I throw a army poncho liner on the inside of it to actually wrap around myself. No problem. I was nice and warm last night. Now, the top of this is just a canvas tarp. It's an 8x10. You can see where the back in the end there, I had to cut a section out of it to repair something else. In fact, that's the reason why we bought that tarp, was to repair the it was a cart that we were selling something out of years and years ago. And so the tarp, because it's got that big hole in it, has, I'll move around the side so you can see better, has been sitting just folded up on a shelf for probably 12 years. Again, not sure what we're going to do with it, cut it up to do something else with it, but it's still full width down on this end, and it's missing, a quarter, a little bit more than a quarter up in there, but it's still, you can see I just put it on with bungee cords. It still did the job of keeping stuff off of me, and surprisingly enough, actually made it a little bit warmer. Now, here's what I found out, and this is going to sound really silly. With the tailgate down, because I like to get lots of fresh air, I was actually creating almost a stove effect. You know, the rocket stove where you put fuel and air in one side and it rushes all out the other side. Well, this wound up just with me and my body heat making kind of a rocket stove last night, where it was sucking in. There was no, the air, the wind blows from side to side here. I made sure it didn't blow straight into the back of this, but it was sucking into the open tailgate area and coming out down there by my feet. This is a bit of an angle, so I was sleeping with my head up on this end, and to the point where I had to close the tailgate to stop the wind that I was creating, the draft. So, hey, you know, even your own body heat can create that stove effect if you're not careful. I had forgotten how handy this thing was. I'm going to buy another one, not chop it up, and keep it around for camping and things, just because it's really handy. Now, one new piece of gear I wanted to talk to you all about is down here. Let's open it up. There you are. This is an Army compass. Now, there's a lot of fake Army compasses out there. Let me see if we can get in without losing focus here. One of the details, if it's really Army stuff, is it will have right here, it says US, and then there's a stock number. I don't know if you can see that. All right. Every piece of military gear has a national stock number on it. Now, this is a compass. Any of you guys that have been in the military, you've seen these things. These are excellent. It's a lensatic compass. You can do lots and lots of different things with it. Now, if you have a compass of your own that you love, I'm not trying to sell you on something different. The civilian versions, or the knockoffs, I guess, that I've seen on this kind of thing, are terrible. They are really not accurate at all. Most of them will come out of China. That probably had something to do with that. But this is the real deal. You see the tritium vials there, so it'll glow in the dark. This is accurate enough. I mean, when I was in the Army, we used to shoot artillery with it, lay in. You could survey with this thing. The old ones, I've had several in attempting to get a compass that would be accurate enough, and several of the civilian models of this that I got, just, I mean, even walking the boundaries of my property, they were off by a couple of degrees. So it's really nice to have an accurate compass again. For those of you who are not aware of it, on the military style compass, on the actual military one, when you fold in the eyepiece, it locks your compass mechanism, so any jarring, banging around does not affect it. Close it up like that. This little bail goes over the top, so it's one really solid unit. This is some sort of die-cast metal, aluminum or something, I don't know what. There are markings on here for the various distances on the maps and things. Comes with an idiot cord, which absolutely got to have. It's attached to my pack at the moment, which is where it ought to be. All right, so it was like 80 bucks. They're not cheap. But other than the little Silva compass I got when I was a Boy Scout, I've used these things my whole life and bet my life on them, and they've always come through for me. So I'm really glad to have another one. Hi. Now this is my fire from last night. It has been 13 hours since I spread it out. I just put some little shavings. These are pieces of bark from the trees that just slough off around here. I want to show you something. Don't know if I can get this going, but it's already smoking. There we go. All right, I hope you can see that. It's just some wood shavings, bark shavings that have been laying out here on the ground. The fire had been out for over 13 hours. I didn't bank it, I didn't put it under rocks, I just spread it out so it would die. There we go. Put a couple of small twigs on top of that and it'll be ready to go. So here's the point. Anytime you're making a fire outside and you think it's dead, it's probably not. If you have decent hardwood, those coals will go for hours. I'll work on that again here in a minute. And I did nothing but put a little fuel on it and blow on it, like you saw. So here's your takeaway. Just because you think your fire is out, if you can't put your hand down in the ashes and rummage it around, it ain't out. After 13 hours, I came out here and I felt it with my hand. There was just a little bit of warmth. So I kind of scraped the warmth together. I couldn't even see the, there we go. Now the wind's starting to catch it. I couldn't even see where the embers were, but look what we were able to do. And now you can tell the wind is already catching this and making it bigger. Folks, this is how forest fires happen when you're not paying attention. I seldom cut firewood when I'm out camping, principally because I don't tend to go places where other people are. But there's almost always dead wood laying around that can be salvaged for a campfire. Now I'm building this up so I can cook my lunch, well, breakfast lunch. There we go. And it should be enough to burn those. All right, so there we have a fire that was started with nothing more than blowing on it and putting a couple little pieces of bark on it. I'll show you a little piece of bark here closer. Don't know if we can actually focus on that, but this is just, these are shed from the trees in the area here. And well, I'll leave it to your opinion as to whether you think it's flammable or not. So, from a fire prevention standpoint, you guys have all heard it. Okay, we've all seen the commercials, we've all heard it. Your fire isn't out until you pour water on it and you can put your hand in it that it's not hot anymore, okay? Like I said, those coals were, I cooked on them last night, I spread them all over the fire pit. They burned out, I thought. Couldn't see any more red in them last night. Stirred them around real good. And 13 hours later, there you go. All right, so we're back to the fire again. I've already had my lunch. Coals have burned out. From a distance, they look cool enough, but I can tell you by just putting your hand down, it's pretty hot. See if I can get those suckers going yet. Yeah, so you can see red. Let me do that. I don't think I'm going to do that really. Anyway, so we talked about putting your fire out. The easiest way would be to spread it around, let it cool down, bury it if you had to. But let's face it, most people have water nowadays. Now, even when you're dry camping, I don't have a hose here. You know, this is not like the National Forest ran a water pipe out here just for me. You've got water with you. Canteens, hiking bladders, and of course, you always carry some internally, but I don't recommend that. I've heard that makes a rather bad smell. But pretty much everybody carries one of these, just in the car maybe. If you've got a cooler, you've got water. So what we're going to do is use some of that cooler water. Now this is going to make a heck of a mess, because this is not one of the coolers that has a drain spout on it, so I'm going to have to dump it. Hopefully I don't dump all my stuff in there as well. Keep the top on kind of as a strainer. Okay, got that side. Get right over top of it. Doesn't take a tremendous amount of water. And stir it around, make sure it's out. See? Okay, I missed a little bit. The water ran out the bottom end over here. So I've got to do it again. Before I do that, I'll mix it around, make sure we get all the coals that fell down in the corners and the crevices. There we go. Let's check and make sure we got it all. Now the rocks are pretty hot right now, so they're sizzling. The stirring helps a lot because you get the wet ashes up on top of any of the embers that are still hot. There we go. I'll let that sit for a couple minutes and I'll show you how effective that can be. Alright, so here we are back again. You just saw me pour some water on the campfire from my cooler. The intervening couple of minutes, I just straightened up the truck, getting ready to go. And it is out. Now remember I told you about if you can't shove your hand in it, it ain't out? Well, I'm not stupid. Here's a piece of ice that came out of the cooler. If I can lay a piece of ice on something and it doesn't immediately melt, it's cold, okay? A little bit nasty, you're gonna get some charcoal on your fingers, but it's out. Let's go ahead and leave that piece of ice there just to make sure. Now look folks, this isn't rocket science. You may wind up with nasty hands, but if you can't shove your hand in the fire, it's not out. Now don't shove your hand in the fire until you feel it first and make sure, but bottom line, it's out. This trick was taught to me by my father. Not a very educated man, but tremendously gifted with common sense. Taught me a great many things about life that I should have paid more attention to. So anyway, that's all for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Just kind of random things. So, as I always say, don't forget, get back out in the woods. Doesn't matter whether it's a superstition wilderness area in Arizona, some woodlot in Pennsylvania, National Forest in West Virginia. Just get out into the woods. Have a good time.